Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to all organizers for this invitation, for providing us the opportunity to share insights of Brazilian shipbuilding offshore industry. In particular, our partnership Comea and Comea Brazil to invite us to be here. There are much that Brazil can learn from Korea and vice versa. Initiatives like this are essential for our success in both nations. In the great joy to enthusiasm I stand before you today to co-marine event, and I'm deeply honored to represent Sinaval as a vice president and address all for you. Brazil has always played a prominent role in shipbuilding and offshore industry, and it's truly exciting to see our country reclaim the global prominence in this sector. Sorry about my English, everyone, but I sent my translator for my presentation for the translation. Lately, I have received invitation for Germany, Japan, and Korea to discuss opportunities in the Brazilian shipbuilding sector. This is a testament to our potential and our growing global influence. Let's explore together how Brazil is once again in the forefront of the shipbuilding offshore industry. I look forward to sharing our optimistic vision for the futures of this sector in our country. Thank you for being here. During my presentation, I will cover some follow points. First, I will provide a brief overview about Sinaval and its significance in the Brazil. Next, I will discover the capabilities of the Brazilian shipbuilding industry in the recent deliveries. Following that, I will delve into the order book and the opportunities in the Brazilian market. Lastly, I will present alternatives for decarbonization of the Brazilian maritime sector. And finally, I will conclude by summarizing the key points present in few slides. About Sinaval. Sinaval is a cornerstone in the Brazilian shipbuilding and offshore construction landscape. We proudly represent the country's landing shipyard, strategically positioned along our vast coastline, even inland regions like Manaus. Our mission is to advocate and promote the interests of the Brazilian shipbuilding offshore industry. We work tirelessly to drive growth and excellence with our industry, and our influence extend beyond the corporate realm. We are actively engaged to economic and governmental forum, collaborating to shape policies and regulation for the forced sustainable industry development. With active participation of shipyards across the various regions of the country, Sinaval plays a pivotal role shaping the futures of shipbuilding and offshore construction industry in Brazil. You are dedicated to create an environment conducive to the growth and innovation, making Brazil even more competitive in the global sector. In this slide, you can see all the regions that you have shipyard in Brazil, since the south up to the north of the Brazil. Now, the segmentation about the Brazilian shipyard. The versatility and expertise of the Brazilian shipyard are evident in their ability to serve a wide range of market segments. We take pride in contributing to develop 13 different kinds of vessels, which is specific demands. Let's take a look at this segment. We have segmentation of offshore, like a construction of integration of models and roof of FPSOs, offshore support vessels, tankers and product carriers, container ship, bulk carriers, whatever, are 13 segments that you can provide our vessels, our services. And the Brazilian shipbuilding capabilities. The shipbuilding offshore industry in Brazil is truly diverse and spread across the country. Let's take a look at the map to better understand the geographical distribution of Brazilian shipyard and then cluster. So you normally see pair Brazilian shipyard in cluster. So you have four principal main clusters in Brazil. The first one is in south of Brazil. It's the Rio Grande cluster. In the state of Rio Grande do Sul, you'll find a cluster specialized in construction and integration of FPSOs, floating production and storage and offloading. And modules, additionally, there in these regions, there is a dry dock with capacity to build 2 FPSOs together. Next, you have Itajaí. Itajaí is a Santa Catarina state. There is a concentration of shipyards dedicated of the construction of specialized offshore support vessels. There are 5 shipyards focusing this segment in this area. Then, you have Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is hosts the largest cluster in terms of quantity of shipyard in Brazil. The region is capable to building a variety of vessels types, from models to Petrobras, to FPSOs, semi-submersive, platform, drill ships. You highlight Barcelona Shipyard, which has a robust portfolio for Petrobras, model construction, and the history of the building of FPSOs. Then you have Pernambuco. Pernambuco is the region in the state of Pernambuco. We find shipyards specialized in the construction of large vessels. Notable, Atlântico Sul is the largest shipyard in the South America. Bahia and Espírito Santo also there are important shipyards. And also we have in North Brazil some shipyards focusing river, tugboats, barge, and some kinds of products. And Brazilian shipyard. Sinaval has brought together the leading Brazilian shipyard, considering only those operate in the segment of ship, platform, and OSVs, and transformed them into the Estaleiro Brasil. Our intention was showcase installed capacity of our shipbuilding offshore industry. As such, you have a following figure to illustrate the capacity of the Estaleiro Brasil, with a total area of 8,472 square meters, provide ample and modern space to our vessels construction and repair. We also have our shipyard capacity to process up 700,000 tons of steel per year, and other numbers that you can see on the square. Since the government announced the commitment to prioritize meeting the demands of the oil and gas sector in Brazil, this dedication has attracted significant investment, resulting over the 38 shipyard projects for production, expansion, and modernization of the shipyard in our country. Total investment of the shipyard, sorry. These efforts have led a total investment of more than $6 billion. Substantial portion of this resource was allocated in the construction of new shipyards equipped with the state-of-the-art technology and world-class infrastructures. These investments are not only modernizing and expanding our shipyard, but have also made Brazil capable of meeting the demands of primarily for Petrobras and Transpetro demand. The message that I want to cover in that not our industry is ready to address the anticipated demand that in the coming years. You are prepared to face future challenges and continue to deliver high-quality solutions to the domestic and foreign market. The challenges of the new resurgence will be significant, but through the partnership and hard work, we are confident that we will overcome them. Now I'll show some pictures about Brazilian shipyard. For example, this is a Rio Grande shipyard located in the south of Brazil. No, sorry, it's Atlântico Sul. I made a mistake, sorry. The Atlântico Sul is the biggest shipyard in South America. Rio Grande, sorry. Rio Grande. So it's the Rio Grande that have capacity to build 2 FPSOs together in the south of Brazil, very specialized in FPSO project. Here, there is now is Atlantic Sul Shipyard. It's the biggest shipyard in South America. It's located in Pernambuco. This picture is not so recently, but the shipyard was also in construction, but you can see the size of the shipyard. Now you can see the Jurong shipyard, from Jurong Holding in Brazil, located in Espírito Santo State. And as I mentioned before, this is a Brasfel shipyard located in Rio de Janeiro with a lot of FPSOs, semi-submersibles, a lot of the works to do there. All right. Now that I covered some histories of shipbuilding Brazil and the capabilities of the Brazilian shipyard and the infrastructure they have, I will now discuss the deliveries our industry has made in the recent years. So, the next few slides, I will show you some of them. Some of the deliveries from the Brazilian in the past 10 years. But it's important to remember that Brazil has gone through a challenging period in the last 6 years, without almost no demand in Brazilian shipbuilding industry. So, the last 6 years was terrible for us. No demand, no building in Brazil. In this slide, you can see that our industry has delivered 4 PLSVs, 377 offshore support vessels, and more than 250 at port tugboats. Some deliveries about the big vessels, oil tankers, is 15 oil tankers, 6 gas tankers, 5 bulk ships, mainly for Transpetro that they represent here in our area. Now, I said before, the port and push boats and barges, it's a market that's growing a lot in the last year because the agricultural segment in Brazil, it's the segment that is growing a lot in Brazil, and the demand is related for the sector. So we will never pass a worst period in this segment. So regarding the segment offshore, you can see the deliveries by Brazilian shipyards platform models for Petrobras in recent years. The slides show there have been peaks and valleys, which are not ideal for our industry. Wherever you can observe the recent growth in the deliveries due to the resurgence of the oil gas sector in Brazil. The forecast I will show later indicates strong demand for the construction of FPSO modules in coming years. Those are Petrobras models constructed by Brazilian shipyard in the past years. So now the point of the presentation, opportunities in Brazilian shipbuilding sectors. Well, now we have discussed about the capacity of the Brazilian industry and delivery history. I will show some highlights of the future's outlook. I'll talk about has been announced by. I'll talk about what has been announced by government, companies, and expectation for new orders in the domestic market. This slide features 2 pieces of news. One of Petrobras President John Paul Prats, who announced investment in the Growth Acceleration Program, PAC, and predicts public and private investment over the 300 billion Brazil reais in the oil gas sector in Brazil in the coming years. The other news is related to Transpetro, which is here, and announced a contracting of 25 vessels to be entirely constructed in Brazilian shipyard. I hope so. To summarize, To summarize the opportunities announced in the shipbuilding and offshore construction sector in Brazil, we have 20 new FPSOs that will be operated by 2028. These FPSO are already contracted or in contracting phase. Depending on the oil field and the EU production, there are local content requirements range from 25% to 40%. Petrobras has also announced the return of PROREFAM. PROREFAM is a program which is a fleet renewal program of offshore logistics support. In this new phase of the program, Petrobras has announced the hiring 28 more offshore support vessels to build in Brazil. Additionally, there is a strong market in Brazil related to the commissioning of platforms. Petrobras has several platforms that need to be decommissioned in the coming years. Whether they are FPSOs, semi-submersibles, these involve investments around $9 billion, and much of this commissioned work in the carry out in the Brazilian shipyard. They are prepared to operate in accordance with the best global standards in environment and operational safety. In addition, there is another order of 25 vessels from Transpetro, the largest logistic operator in South America and subsidiary of Petrobras. These vessels will be used to transport oil produced and processed by Petrobras along the Brazilian coast. These vessels are also part of a growth acceleration program, PAC, and are included in the Transpetro investment plan for the coming years. They are expected to build in Brazilian shipyard with the design incorporating technology that meet IMO's carbon intensity reduction targets for 2030. Furthermore, the Brazilian Navy's place is a significant role in driving the shipbuilding industry in Brazil. Currently, we have 4 frigates being constructed in Brazilian shipyard, and the new tenders are planned for an additional 4 frigates and 11 patrol vessels. All these vessels will be built in Brazil with a high level of local content. Now, I will discuss a little bit more about the decarbonization in Brazilian maritime sector. It's important not that I'm not expert in this subject, but I believe it's essential to highlight some relevant points. Additionally, it's also remember that Brazilian industry has a clean energy matrix, being 6 times cleaner than Chinese and 5 times cleaner than Korean industry. In the upcoming slides, I will provide information on what the Brazilian market has been analyzing in terms of decarbonization. So, among the alternatives, use of maritime biofuels is the primary option for Brazil. Brazil holds a prominent position in terms of biotechnology and bioenergy, with competitive biofuel industry in the country that can contribute to the decarbonization of the sector as a supply of biofuels. Biofuels can ensure commercially and scalable volume due to the technological maturity and well-developed production chain, the availability of the logistical infrastructures, and adaptation of existing vessels propulsion technology, all which ends drop-in solutions. In the following slides, I will provide some highlights regarding the biofuels being considered in the Brazilian market. This includes FAM, AVO, fit diesels, ethanol, LNG, and biomethane. About the FAM, biodiesel FAM. Talking about biofuels FAM, in the end of 2022, the first refuel with renewable content in Brazil has carried out on the vessel Darcy Ribeiro, owned by Transpetro in Rio Grande Terminal, Rio Grande do Sul. The refuel considered 90% of mineral origin and 10% of biodiesel. In the next year, estimate that production will double and capacity will increase by 30% in scenario with 15 blends. AVO. This large-scale production of AVO in Brazil is under development by companies like Brazilian Biofuels, BBF, on the largest palm oil production in the country. The biorefinery in the Manaus Free Trade Zone with production capacity of 500,000 cubic meters per year is scheduled for 2025. About ethanol. Ethanol is currently the most consumed and transported biofuel in the United States and Brazil, and United States and Brazil being the largest producer in the world. The company Raízen, its joint venture between Cosan and Shell, is developing advanced biofuels for sustainable aviation fuel and biofuel for ships. The operation of 20 cellulosic ethanol plants and 39 biogas production models at ethanol plants is planned by 2030. However, the challenge has formed a strategic partnership for the development of engine technology for the ethanol-powered ship. LNG. Brazil domestic natural gas production may increase by 50 millimeters cubic a day by the end of the decade if the planned invests in the production infrastructures of Sergipe-Alagoas Basin and the pre-salt reserves in the Campos and Santos basins. 3 liquefied natural gas regasification terminals are expected to start operation in 2023, increasing the national import capacity over the 120 millimeters cubic per day. However, the increase in the gas supply is primarily anchored in the industrial and the terminal power demand of the country, with limited discussions regarding the liquefaction and gas supply for maritime transport. Biomethane considered an advanced biofuel when produced from the urban solid waste, agro-industrial and forestry residues, and aquatic organisms, has high energy density, abundant biomass available in some regions, and the potential to reduce greenhouse emissions by 65% to 100% depending on the raw materials used in the production process, favoring the use of maritime fuel. However, biomethane has a high production cost compared to the fossil equivalents. Conclusions, finally. Certainly, please go ahead and provide some content you'd like to include for 2 slides, and I'll help draft them. So, it's important to say the resurgence, the shipbuilding in Brazil has been stimulating investment for large international groups that believe in the industrial sector and seek to form partnership with local companies to meet out the global supply requirements. The main objectives are develop strategic in-house capacity of local ships and offshore platform construction and repair, establish a competitive sector based in international benchmarks, build a network of local suppliers can remain competitive in ongoing contracts, develop low-carbon technology. About the biofuels, for the decarbonization maritime sectors, the penetration of alternative fuels, including biofuels, hydrogen, ammonia, and electricity, you need to advance. Technological, supply, pricing, including carbon tax, financing, and logistical challenges must be addressed. Public policies will also be essentials. So this is my highlight. Thank you. As I drawing this presentation to close, I sincerely hope that I have successfully convert our message. Brazil is a crucial conjuncture on the cusp of revival in the shipbuilding industry. You are open to collaboration, involve exchange of technology and know-how, and we welcome partnership for the force mutual growth. While I win manufacturers as much as possible in Brazil. International cooperation in the countries that excel the shipbuilding sector will be instrumental in our collective success. If any of you are interested to delve in further into Brazilian opportunities, that Brazil has to offer, please don't hesitate to reach out. You're more than welcome to contact me directly via my email. I'm closing let us embrace the pivotal moment with enthusiasm and determination. The future of shipbuilding offshore constructions in Brazil hold a vast potential, and together we can make it reality. Thank you. I look forward to future collaboration and conversation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks to Comea for the invitation. I hope I will say a few words about Greek shipping that some of you may already know, but some of you may not know. Talking about the world fleet, this is how the world fleet has developed over the past, over the past 25 years. We have seen a peak of 10% increase in the year 2010, a peak that destroyed the freight market. And we are now back in 2023 to a more reasonable number of about 3%. In January 23, the world fleet consisted of 105,000 vessels of 100 gross tonnage and above, and about 65,000 of those vessels are ocean-going vessels. The rest are short sea shipping ships. This is showing the world fleet ownership in terms of countries, ownership. As you can see, Greece is number one, followed by China. And these are the 2022 numbers. Unfortunately for Greece, fortunately for China, about 2 months ago, the Chinese fleet overpassed the Greek fleet in terms of gross tonnage. In terms of dead weight, the Greek fleet is still number one, and the reason for this is that the size of the ships that the Greeks are operating is much larger than the size of the ships that the Chinese are operating. Are we positive about the future of shipping? Yes, we are. We talk about sustainability. I could say that irrespective of what we do with greenhouse gases, as you may know, shipping is producing about 3% of the greenhouse gases worldwide, but they are transporting more than 90%, Professor Lee, not 80%, as you said yesterday, of the world transportation. The projections for year 2050, if you can see, is that the population will increase a lot. Today, the population is 7.5 billion people. By 2050, they say it will overpass the number of 10 billion. And these are United Nations numbers. United Nations they are not doing a good work, it seems, for the Gaza problem, but they are doing quite a good work in terms of projection for the future of the planet. So, Africa the population will increase by 70%, they say. Oceania, Australia, which is today a very low population, about 25 million, it will increase by 27%. Poor countries like the European countries, the population may shrink, and this is something that we do see today. GDP growth numbers. Asia and Pacific, and these are the 2023 numbers projected for 2023. Asia and Pacific is leading the world economy. Africa is coming in terms of growth, not in terms of total numbers. And world statistics for seaborne trade, we see a moderate growth for the next 4 to 5 years, of the order of 2+%. This coupled with the fleet growth that we saw before, which is about 3%, and the age of the world fleet may help towards a healthy market. The world share of Greek fleet, starting from the low numbers, You can see that for containers, for example, the Greek fleet portion is about 6%, but if we talk about tankers, the Greek portion is about 25%. For the LNGs, which are ships of the fashion of the day, the Greek fleet is about 20% of the existing fleet. I have to note that in 2000, the first Greek LNG vessels were delivered to my previous company in 2005. So in less than 20 years, the Greek fleet now is representing about 20% of the world LNG market, and it's still expanding, despite the fact that LNG vessels have become, I could say, unreasonably expensive, and LNG is it's a kind of a club. It's not easy to enter the LNG market. Greek fleet evolution. Last year, until March, it was the first year during which the Greek fleet contracted. We lost about 30 ships and about 6 million tons dead weight. What should we be careful about? We don't know what the new technology will end up. So Greeks are not very willing to invest. They don't know if they should invest in the current ship design, larger vessels, what kind of fuel is going to be used. And this is why in my view, they are restricting investment, despite the fact that one of the good things about the Greek shipping is that they don't need, of course they get financing, but they have their own cash reserves and they can invest without waiting to get a loan from a bank first, to get approval from a bank. The Greeks still believe that there are shipping cycles, and today we are maybe at the top of a cycle, and they expect that the market may come down again, the new building market. I don't know if this is correct, because today major yards, and I'm not talking about the Brazilian yards, they are booked until the beginning of 2028. And if you look at the order book, you will see that the order book for conventional ships, like bulk carriers and tankers, it's at a very low level these years. It's below 5%. Ships live for about 20 years, so it is reasonable to expect that the annual orders should be of the order of 5%. And today we have the next 4 years with only 4 or 5% of orders, and the shipyards more or less fully booked. So unless we see the Chinese yards to expand again, I don't believe that the capacity will be there to build the ships that we need. The cost of new ships with new technology will go up. If we talk about a VLCC, the price for a VLCC today, forget if it is in China or Korea, is about 115 million. To make it dual fuel, you will need 20 million more. And there are not many people that will do will accept this investment, especially in today's unstable energy market. OPEX will go up, but of course OPEX are not that important today. The OPEX of a VLCC is about $10,000 per day, and the high that a VLCC should get to break even with today's prices is $50,000+ per day. So to economize $1,000, if you can get a charter of 50, it's not really worth doing. EU ETS, I believe you know what will happen in the EU. Ships that go to the EU from next year will have to pay a carbon trading tax. And if we talk about Greek ship owners, they get really sick if they hear the word tax. They don't like this word. Greek shipping, fortunately, and this is one of the reasons of growth, is basically tax-free, as it is the shipping for many other countries. Germany was complaining a lot that Greeks do not pay tax. Greeks pay 2 times the tax that the German ships registered in other countries, not in Germany, as is the norm, pay. Interest rates, this is a problem. interest rates, as you know, they go up. Part of the reason of the expansion of the world fleet over the past 10 years was that interest rates were very low. Now we see interest rates of the order of, if you want to borrow some money, it's LIBOR plus 3%, 4%, total maybe around 6%. And the trend is to go for the interest rates to go up. The Greeks do not operate long-term, or at least most of them. They prefer to operate in the spot market, take advantage of the spot market instead of doing a long-term investment with a reasonable or unreasonable return. The exception for this rule is the LNG fleet. LNG is long-term employment, is positive cash flow, and this is one of the reasons that the Greeks have expanded in the LNG fleet. In Greece, today, we have about a bit less than 700 companies. Only 20 of those companies are above 100 ships, and the total 50 above 50 ships. So the model of the Greek family model, family companies that are operating 5 to 10 to 15 ships today, because of the new requirements, because of the complexity of shipping, because of the difficulty of shipping, is a bit under revision. But if we lose the small companies, I think the core of Greek shipping will be lost. Many Greek companies have been operating over than 100 years, but over the past 20 years, we have seen quite a few of traditional companies pocketing the money that they had made in shipping and investing in other sectors. Cash reserves are being put aside today, and as I said before, there are not many long-time charter fixtures done by Greeks. In 2022, the number of vessels that were sold by Greeks overpays the number of vessels that were bought. And this is why we see the reduction of the Greek fleet by about 30 ships. Geopolitical uncertainty is an issue. If you read the newspapers, I'm sure that you will read that the Greeks, by going around the sanctions, they have made a lot of money. This is partly true. But on the other hand, political instability, medium term, is not helping shipping. Now, the traditional Greek model, a lot of people are saying that whatever the first generation is doing, the second generation keeps, and the third generation destroys this. And we have seen this in Greek shipping, maybe not the third generation, but the fourth generation. Analysis of the Greek fleet per type of vessel. As I said before, bulk carriers are dominating. It's 50%, almost 50% of the Greek shipping is in bulk carriers, and 35% in tankers. Age analysis. A lot of you may have the opinion that, the Greeks, they buy the old ships, they operate them in a substandard way, and this is how the fleet has grown. This is not true. The average age of the Greek fleet today is 13.2 years. The average age of the world fleet is 17.2. There is a difference, or let's say deviation, between what is happening with the Greek control fleet, and up to now I'm referring to the Greek control fleet, and to the Greek flagged, to the national flag ships. Out of the 4,200 vessels that are operated by Greeks, only 500 today are Greek flag. And this may create an issue as far as the operation of the marine academies is concerned. If there is no flag, most probably we will lose the Greek officers, and if we lose the Greek officers, that traditionally, as I said before, according to the Greek family model. If we lose them, most probably we lose part of the active Greek shipping today. Class societies that Greeks are using, if you can see ABS, BV, Class NK, and Lloyd's Register, they have about 700 ships or a bit more each. DNV is a bit down. RINA is more down, but RINA is expanding a lot over the past few years. And the next, on the right-hand side, you can see what is happening with the Greek flag vessels. For the Greek flag vessels, ABS has the majority. Main registries, I said before, that the Greek flag vessels is only about, is small. It's about 12.1% of the fleet. Liberia is first. Actually, if you study the history of Liberia, you will see that after the end of the Second World War, it was actually Liberia that cooperated with the Greeks and developed the Greek fleet. And Marshall Islands are going up, it's 26% up. I don't know if you know it, but I read it recently, and it's not related to shipping. I read about a week ago that Marshall Islands are still getting money from the US government because of the nuclear tests that were done there 60 years ago. But it was good business, it seems. Environmental equipment. The average percentage of the world fleet that is fitted with scrubbers is 31%. The average percentage for the Greek fleet is 41%. The average percentage of energy-saving devices for the world fleet is about 25%. It's 31% for the Greek fleet. The Greek order book today, it's pretty high. If we talk about LNGs, it's about 15% of the total orders. The company that is expanding in a very high pace today is MOL. I wish them good luck. You can see that for tankers, again, which is the leading, let's say, sector of the Greek fleet, is 33% of the world orders are for Greeks. Talked about new technology. This is a list of the fleets that the Greek ships that are on order today with alternative fuels. It's about 43 ships, which is a high percentage if we compare with other flags. Greek shipbuilding in Korea, it has gone down from a peak of 135 ships in 2010 to 62 ships today, but you have to keep in your mind that the capacity of the Korean shipyards have been reduced. Some people say by 40%, other people say 30%, but definitely it has been a reduction. And also the type of ships that are being built today are much more man-hour intensive. I mean, to build an LNG vessel, you need about 900,000 man-hours. To build a VLCC, you need much less. It's about 450, if I'm not mistaken. As you can see, since 2010, Greeks have ordered 100 VLCCs from Korean yards, and they have also, which is impressive, 124 LNG ships. So what is Korea offering to the Greek owners? There are advanced ship designs, despite the fact that today the trend is you have to order a sister ship. If it is not a sister ship to an existing design, we are not very happy. But in any case, I believe the ships that are being built in Korea are far more advanced than the ships Japan is building today. And I have to say that in my view, and this is from my recent experience with Chinese yards, the Chinese yards are catching up fast. Over the past years, the Korean yards, they have built a variety of ships. Today, they say if it's not a VLCC, if it is not an LNG, if it is not a big container ship, we don't like it. This has to be changed, and I believe it will change. The Korean pricing is competitive, has always been competitive. I don't believe that, let's say, a ship owner will ask to get the same price from Korea and China. I did a study when I was in Maran. Over a 10-year period, the operating cost of Cape-size vessels, 6 of them built in Korea, 6 of them built in China. The Korean vessels were about $600 per day, less expensive to maintain. And they also spent less time in dry dock. Dry dock is one every 5 years, so it may not be important, but if the market is booming, every day is important. On-time delivery until the end of last year. I don't know what is happening today. I'm a bit worried. We see yards requesting late delivery, and we are receiving a number of force majeure notices. Today the temperature is very high. This is force majeure. Tomorrow is raining. This is force majeure. But this is life. Customer relationships are important. I believe the Korean yards, they value, they respect their clients. But on the other hand, the clients should also respect the yards. I'm very much against shipping companies that they order 2 ships here, 2 ships in another yard, 2 ships in Vietnam, 2 ships in what I don't know where. It's important to have a relationship with one yard, or maybe 2. After sales service, we have our problems, but the situation overall is improving. Now, technology is changing. The technology did not change as far as fuel is concerned, for the past, since the coal disappeared, we had heavy fuel, heavy fuel, heavy fuel, heavy fuel. Now we will have a number of different technologies. Do we have the time to learn the new technologies? I don't believe so. And this is why, although in the beginning I was against, let's say, the initiative of Korean yards to set up worldwide service stations, now I believe that we will need them. The leader in this sector is Hyundai Global Services, but Hanwha Power Systems are now moving behind Hyundai Global Services. I believe it is services that we'll need, but again, the objective is not to make money only, and if you don't make money, the company will disappear in a few years, as happened with DSME recently. But these companies, these worldwide service companies, they should offer prompt service and respect the ship owners, the clients. Apart from these services, and I don't know if there are any other similar organizations, I don't believe so, we have COMEA. COMEA is representing a large number of companies, communications with a lot of these companies. If you try to do it direct, it's difficult. So this is part of the gap that COMEA should fill in. And talking now about Greece. In Greece, we have a similar organization with COMEA. It's called Hemexpo. And in this page, you can see the products that Hemexpo, the Greek industrial companies, are producing. In my view, there should be no competition between COMEA and Hemexpo. Both organizations should try to cooperate. This is what Hemexpo is today, but this is not important for Korea. I think your numbers are much higher. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Engineer Ali Faiz, CEO and founder of Sakaib. I'm glad to be one of the speakers in Marine Conference 2023. Hopefully I provide the desired addition through my presentation. Here about maritime industry cluster shipbuilding in Saudi Arabia. to give me this opportunity to talk about overseas market entry strategy. We all know that South Korea become one of the most important countries in the shipbuilding industry in the world, and in dire to need to extend the business and increase the customers around the world. And to be able to do that, it must be they built cities and industrial clusters in other countries and benefit from them advantages offered by those countries. I believe Saudi Arabia is the best certain reason, such as first, Saudi Arabia recently started in this industry, but they are taking tremendous steps on the ground. As you know, Saudi Arabia is one of the most advanced in the field of electronic services, as well as the currently considered like one of the countries who invest huge in the infrastructure and housing and industry projects, especially shipbuilding construction. For that, I think Korean companies have to consider Saudi Ras Al Khair city as industrial hub to be superior in the Middle East market and surrounded countries. Second reason, location. Location in the middle of the world and open seas close to Europe and the American market, the prime location for Saudi gives a huge opportunity to be a part of trading routes. Ras Al Khair city is on east coast, around 8 kilo north of Jubail, which is considered one of the largest industry cities in the world in the field of petrochemical and chemical products plus other material. Ras Al Khair will be connected with the world through Ras Al Khair port, and Jubail port will support that, and the airport in Jubail also. In addition to that, now is the plan to build the railway between Jubail and Ras Al Khair, and it will be part of the railway which connects all the Gulf countries. Ras Al Khair include King Salman shipbuilding complex, which is the largest in the region. We are talking about 12 million square meter, plus Aramco established IMI with Hyundai partnership, and McKean with Hyundai, and Aramco established Twig forging and casting plant with partnership with Dosan. And beside of that, already the infrastructure developed by Royal Commission with very high standard and quality. And the city including Ma'aden aluminium factory, which is the second in the world, and other factories like steel, iron, chemical, silica, etc. will be constructed soon. Ras Al Khair special economic zone have a privilege which around 5% corporate income tax for 20 years and zero customs, zero VAT in between the factories inside that zone. Plus the ownership can be reached 100% for foreigners. Shipbuilding industry cluster is the ideal way to overseas market entry strategy. Is establishing cluster in Ras Al Khair supply IMI and export to the nearest market.
네, 청중분들의 원활한 이해를 위해서 저희가 자막이 있는 영상을 송출하려고 합니다. 통역을 활용하는 것보다 저희가 자막을 통해서 조금 더
For your better understanding, we are going to play a video with a subtitle and caption at the bottom of the screen so that you can have a better understanding.
subtitles Korean, and then could you wait just a moment, and then we will play the new video for understanding, for participating easily to his presentation.
Around 5% corporate income tax for 20 years and zero customs, zero VAT in between the factories inside that zone. Plus the ownership can be reached 100% for foreigners. Shipbuilding industry cluster is the ideal way to overseas market entry strategy. Is establishing cluster in Ras Al Khair supply IMI and export to the nearest market. And Sakaib is in coordination of several Korean bodies and companies, a number of Korean experts, is creating the basement of the cluster, and already Royal Commission, they allocated 4 million square meter for this cluster. Clearly, cluster will be the route and main supplier to the main marine shipbuilder like IMI, and at the same time, we have to consider Aramco offshore businesses, which need for new construction and maintenance. As we notice, if the target of IMI to build commercial vessels of offshore support vessels, accommodation, work barrage and barrage platform, jacket, boat, sure they need from the cluster the skids, skid-mounted packages, piping, valve gauges, a lot of material. We are talking in one ship like 10,000 piece or part. And this is a huge really. If we know the target of IMI is around 43 vessel, and we are talking about 430 something thousand parts have to be produced. And this is like samples of the products which we can start it, either mechanical or electrical, instrumentation, safety, a lot of material we can establish here in Ras Al Khair. The effect of the business in Ras Al Khair, we think it will be similar like Busan in Korea. I think in this stage we need up to 500 something factory in Ras Al Khair. As we see some statistic in Korea, the company which they are supplying to the main shipbuilder in Korea, around 24,000 company. They are providing the parts to the main contractors. And the cluster market here, we can say in Saudi we can start with shipbuilding with IMI, and then we can extend to provide spare part to Ministry of Defense, Saudi Naval Forces, and Ministry of Interior through Border Guard. Also, we can provide part to oil and gas plants such as pump, valve, whatever. Then that will extend to the Middle East and other countries with the same segments. And here we are trying to establish 50 factory cluster. Then within 5 years, we will cross 400 factories. In the same time, we should extend our businesses to other clusters like oil and gas, like automobile, electric, electromechanical, electronic clusters. Finally, I wish our trusted partner, South Korea, be more prosperity and progress. I also hope that I have provided the desired addition to this conference. For any question or clarification, please contact me anytime. Thank you very much.
I came 7,000 kilometers to see all of you here in Korea. I would like to briefly explain about Saudi Arabia that you might not be very much familiar with. I would like to attract all of your attention to Saudi Arabia. When I was a child, I chose Saudi Arabia because I felt many things and experienced many things in Saudi Arabia, and I would like to share with you what I experienced in this country. I am going to make a presentation about the introduction of Saudi government policy and marketing strategy to help Korean companies to help enter Saudi maritime business. Made in Saudi Arabia program is one of the main government initiatives, and it also includes infrastructure projects, tourism and entertainment projects, as well as shale gas and petroleum and chemical industry projects, as well as programs for establishing the basis for manufacturing industry, including shipbuilding and offshore businesses. You might know very well about this project, New Future of Saudi Arabia. This is a project that aims to establish a new future city. Under this project, Trojana will be established, centered around tourism and sports, and Oxagon, which will be the industrial complex on the ocean, and the Line and the Mirror Line project. Now, infrastructure is being built, and it'll take around 5 years for preparing the basis, the groundwork for this project. Let me briefly explain about oil, gas, and petrochemical. Before, Saudi Arabia sold oils, and Saudi Arabia is now aiming to proceed with a more value-added programs. So they are building petroleum plants, and they're building petrochemical plants. The representative project is crude oil to chemical project, which is called COTC construction project. FEED engineering is going on under this project, and next year the official order placement will be made. And shale gas is being developed in Saudi Arabia. The representative project is Jafurah project. The Korean president visited Jafurah project, which is being conducted by Hyundai Construction. Hyundai received the order for this project, which amounts to about 2.4 billion Korean won. Not Korean won, but dollars. And Jafurah project gives us an endless potential and opportunities of business in Saudi Arabia. Next is Saudi's localization policy. The ultimate goal of Saudi localization is to enable self-sufficiency, integration, and innovation. IKIBA is the most representative policy. It is a total value-added program. It began in 2015, and in 2024, 100% application will be achieved. The goal of this project is to increase the local content in the oil and gas sector, and to enhance the local capacity in the areas of engineering, manufacturing, logistics, and operational service sectors, and also to enhance the competitiveness in the local business industries. And also, they're aiming to create new jobs for the Saudi citizens. They're trying to increase the self-sufficiency up to 70% in the oil and gas sector by 2030. And for EPC bidding, the IKTIVA score is being reflected. Next is Made in Saudi Arabia program. This is a program that aims to attract foreign direct investment to develop and grow Saudi Arabian industries. On the right side, you see a graph. It shows the population of Saudi Arabia, which is increasing by 500,000 to 1 million people. And there are around 10 million foreigners in Saudi Arabia. About 25 million natives of Saudi Arabians are living in this country. In order to benefit from this Made in Saudi Arabia program, you have to ensure that the local contents take up at least 40% or more, and the foreign company must be a company registered in the Saudi Arabian, the SAGIA, and such companies that meet the conditions and requirements for MIS program will benefit from the program. And Saudi Arabia is recommending the companies to buy the various services and products from local Saudi Arabian market. And under this project, there are many academic or research institutions in Saudi Arabia which will be working with the foreign companies under this program. Also, there is import-export financial support under this program. When we hire Saudi Arabian residents as employees or when we provide them with trainings, we can receive financial support, financial expense support from the Saudi Arabian government. Next is 5 special economic zones in Saudi Arabia. MBS announced this policy to create jobs by attracting foreign investment. There are 5 special economic zones ranging from cars, ICT, logistics, pharmaceuticals, and consumable goods. Also, there are Ras Al Khaimah Special Economic Zone, which refers to shipbuilding and offshore industries and rig assembly production. There are also Zazan Special Economic Zone, Cloud Computing Special Economic Zone, and Special Integrated Logistics Zone. When you establish a company in this special economic zone, you can receive corporate tax credit by from 0.5% for 20 to 50 years. You can be also exempted from import tariff and value-added tax within the zone. Your withholding tax will be also exempted. Usually, private companies should hire a certain proportion of Saudi Arabian citizens as their employees. And if you operate your business in the special economic zones, the obligation to hire a certain proportion of Saudi Arabian employees and the foreign employees, the regulation related to this could be softened. And next is the current status of shipbuilding and offshore industries in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, shipbuilding industry has not yet fully developed, but there are Al-Bari, which is a nation-owned carrier in Saudi Arabia. There are also Marine Division in Aramco and IMI shipyard. And in Al-Bari has about 92 vessels. They're operating oil tankers mainly. Aramco owns 260 OSVs. By 2030, it is planning to increase OSV by 50%. In IMI shipyards, they're trying to fully construct the shipyards by 2030. And as a small and medium-sized shipyard, we have Jarim Shipyard, Damman, and Jeddah Shipyard. They're in charge of small and medium-sized shipbuilding and repair. In Saudi Arabia, shipbuilding and offshore industries are not yet fully developed, so that poses a lot of opportunities to Korean companies. Next is the Special Economic Zone in Ras Al Khaimah. As introduced by the previous speaker, there are the sites for IMI shipyards. The total area is around 40 million square meter. We have secured 4 million square meter site which could be allocated to Korean companies through the joint efforts between Korea and the Korean companies. Our role is to hold this site for Korean companies, and when you sign contract, you will sign contract with a direct contract party, not us. Around this IMI shipyard area, there is a construction going on to establish a steel mill invested by China, India, and Saudi Saudi Arabian companies. The steel-making factories are currently being established around the shipyard. As you might know very well about IMI shipyards, now the 95% of the shipyards is completed.
거기에 지금 아람코하고 현대중공업 엔진사업부가 합작으로 엔진 조립 공장을 짓고 있습니다. 현재 야드 공사가 중국 기업에 의해서 진행되고 있는데 2025년 1차적으로 현지 조립 공장을 완성하고 다음 2027년에 현지에서 생산하는 것을 목표로 공사.
The first assembly will be completed by 2025. There are not many cast or forged plant production. So engine bodies and large products cast and forging will be done here. That is why Aramco and Hyundai Heavy Industries are building a plant. And EPC will be responsible for Doosan Heavy Industries, and it has a 15% of a stake. You may think, who wants to invest in Saudi Arabia? I've actually been there in person, and I was able to see many foreign people were investing in Saudi Arabia, including the Europeans and Americans, and there are even Chinese people. So there are many unknown aspects of Saudi Arabia. So I hope you take an opportunity to pay attention to Saudi Arabia to explore business opportunities there. And there are many business opportunities in oil and gas. And this is something similar to providing city gas, and EIZ, an American company, is making an investment in this project. It invested $12 billion. And BOT and BOO investments have been active. And most of the investors here are Japanese companies. And they are making profits more than Korean companies are making, more than the profits Korean companies are making by providing construction there. And foreign investment has been concentrated in mining. And mining is an emerging industry in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, there is as much water as water. Copper, aluminum, and nickel, all these minerals are also rich in Saudi Arabia. That is why many European companies are interested in Saudi Arabia in terms of investment. This is the list of Korean companies doing business in Saudi Arabia. As you can see, there are many Korean companies in the fields of construction, manufacturing, service, and IT. And it is very noteworthy that Korean SMEs, small and medium-sized companies, are actively entering the Saudi Arabia market. They are providing construction services as well. Let's think about what investment conditions Saudi Arabia offers. Saudi Arabia is a young country. 75 or less of the population is under the age of 35. And Saudi Arabia, families there, they are big families. On average, they have 6 to 7 children. And it is a leading country in the Middle East and Africa. And it is a religious leader in the Arab world. And it is a geopolitical center of gravity in the Middle East. And it is also important to note that the Saudi Arabian government is very active in providing support for foreign companies. I created this slide at the request of the organizer. And you may think when you are encouraged to make an investment in Saudi Arabia, you may think you might need a sponsor, local sponsor. But the simplest way to make an investment in Saudi Arabia is to create a local incorporation. You can start even with 10 million Korean won or 20 million Korean won. Of course, there will be more expenses required later on, but still, once you create a local incorporation, you can have 100% stake of it. And you also have to expect 1 month to get a permit for creation of a local incorporation. It takes time to register your company name because the Saudi Arabian authorities wants to verify whether your company name is in violation of their religious law. This is a market strategy. This is what I want you to be careful about when you decide to enter the Saudi Arabia market. Korea is a widely connected country, so internet access is very easy, but that's not the case in Saudi Arabia. So when you have your Saudi Arabian counterpart, or the local counterpart or business partner there, you can always use referral system. You have to you have to do background check over your local partner. And meeting the deadline is also another important thing you have to consider. When you provide products and services in the Middle East, getting pre-approval is a prerequisite. It's a must. So you have to be aware that this is a must. So take all the necessary steps and procedures. There is a lot of fees in the Middle East. Buyers as well as sellers, both of them have to pay a fee. When you try to buy something from the local people, they may ask you, do you know this person and that person? And that means you have to pay a fee for these people. If you don't have any friends or acquaintances in the Middle East or Saudi Arabia, try to build a connection. And don't be fooled by a fame, or don't be fooled by people who claim that they know important people or they know authorities. So you should be very careful when you make an agreement. In terms of custom clearance, our target time is 1 hour. So you have to be very careful to have a very generous and long enough lead time. When I first went to Saudi Arabia, I thought I had a good business opportunity. I think if you decided to go there, you would have the same reason. But you have to understand there are different cultures that exist in Saudi Arabia. So you have to be very careful of not being offensive to their culture. In Korea, it's very difficult for a person like me to meet the minister, but it's not the case in Saudi Arabia. You can easily get a chance to meet the minister or authorities in Saudi Arabia. So always ask for a meeting with the highest possible ranking people in the highest possible ranking, the best thing you have, and you have to also be careful of not having a sole agent or an exclusive agent. And there are also considerations you have to make when you sign an agreement. When you sign an agreement, please bring at least 2 witnesses, because later some of the people who signed the agreement may lie and they retract what they said. And here, I want to make this point that Muslims, they pray 5 times a day. You may perceive that they are very faithful because they say they are loyal to God and they can't lie. But if you are really honest, you won't say something like that. So this is one of the most important reminders to you. If a local person says, I'm Muslim, I'm not going to lie to anyone, don't be fooled by it. I think it's a high time for Korean companies to consider building the second generation of factories there, because of the increased regulations and unwillingness to work in production among the younger generation, because Korea's labor market conditions are getting worse. And Korea lacks workforce, and the working age people, the number of working age people is decreasing. And young people, they are not willing to work in the manufacturing sector. So personally, I think the Korean economy is at risk. But Saudi Arabia is a young country. It offers abundant and affordable labor. And consider Made in Saudi policy. It provides active support. It gives you tax benefits. It gives you young workforce. So take the most out of it. In Middle East and Africa, they have the highest growth potential. Yes, it is tragic that there is a war in the Middle East now, but on the flip side of it, it can present a business opportunity later. So Saudi Arabia can be a very good tourist investment destination for you. If Korea's technology combined with Saudi Arabia's government funding and raw materials, you can create a synergy effect. So I look forward to your active participation in the business opportunities. And these are the procedures you have to take to do business, to start business in Saudi Arabia. First, you need a board resolution, and you also need to have English translation of articles of incorporation and power of attorney. And lastly, I'd like to say, based on my experience that I had in Saudi Arabia, Korea will be the best partner for the local people, whether it be partnership, brands, or corporations. Korea will be the best partner for Saudi Arabia. Just be bold. Take this opportunity. Take a risk. I personally think compared to 20 to 30 years ago, Korean SMEs made significant progress. So take fully advantage of your track records. So be bold, take a risk. If you make up your mind, you can always contact me. I've been working in Saudi Arabia over the past 20 years, so you can always contact me. I will always be happy to help you. So thank you for having me today. Thank you so much.